What's up guys, my name is JDCook5 and welcome back to another episode of the F1 My Team, and this time we are in Saudi Arabia for the Grand Prix. As usual though, we're going to get a few things underway with the upgrades, the activities and all sorts that we can upgrade. Looking at different things in terms of the actual facilities that we have on offer at the moment, there's no upgrade being needed on them just as of yet. Don't really have the budget after spending a decent amount of money, but we do have some upgrades on the powertrain. We've unlocked some stuff on the chassis also that we'll be able to upgrade, and just have a look at kind of getting these kind of right R&D points and going from there, and kind of what attribute and upgrade will suit us. Another aerodynamic upgrade this time round also. So this is going to be an interesting to see if the car will react any good in Saudi Arabia. Previously we didn't really do the best, in all honesty. Obviously we were still at a stage where the car was developing and things like that, and it didn't really go our way. I'm actually not too sure where we actually finished, but I know it wasn't anywhere. So I think we actually finished in the top 10. With that being said though, we are looking forward to a decent position and seeing what we can do in practice, in qualifying and in the race. Practice felt really good. I didn't actually want to do any programs. I just wanted to get some soft tyre time more than anything. Obviously where it's going to be a tyre where we're going to be starting on and making the moves, where it's going to be possible, I just wanted to kind of do X amount of laps. I actually did a fair few laps. I think I ended up doing about 5 or 6 laps in practice just to get used to the circuit. I just want to be able to be competitive this year. I think that's a difference. I don't want to be in the middle of the pack. I want to be at the top of it. So we're going to be really having to try hard and have to put in these extra laps to see where we can be at and see where we can push more than anything. I think that's a time when you've got a bit more track time, you can know where your kind of strong points and weak points are in certain areas of the track. But I'm really looking forward to this one, and honestly a really tight circuit, a lot of straights on offer also, and a car where it kind of works, and I feel like it kind of goes with these corners and straights more than anything. It feels really fluid. I feel like getting out the corners I can get enough power on to be able to kind of have it where the wheels aren't spinning at all, and it's a straight connection with myself, the throttle and the engine itself. It just, there's no delay, it's a straight on the power. Third on the speed trap, as you can see, so we're doing decent on the straights as momentarily. Obviously we're going to have different cars that are going to be completing practice laps also. We go over the checkered line with that lap and we do actually come in first. Loads of laps being completed. That wasn't the fastest lap that I just showed you. It's a 1:30.9 that was the fastest lap, sorry. Overall in practice, not a lot really splits the top 5, only 400ths of a second as you can see. As we push on into qualifying then, looking for some decent laps, and hopefully we don't have to complete too many either, in all honesty, just so we can kind of focus on our race and see what we can do then as we complete this lap then. And this is the early part of the circuit where I wasn't as strong. Feeling like going through that left to right and then getting straight back on the power was a little bit harder at times, just because you felt like you had to carry a lot of speed. But through these parts of the circuit it felt really clean. I was in the track limits, which was the most important thing also, and I was doing some consistent times at the same time. As you go around this bit of the track you kind of slow it down originally going back onto the power, and it is a fairly long bit of the track. There's a lot of DRS points on this circuit also, so if there is a battle there also is going to be a lot of DRS trains. Really tight for that bit of the circuit as we bang into the wall momentarily there then, as we do get a DRS bit, so this is going to boost us. Fernando Alonso did get pole initially, but I think it's just gone to Sergio Perez and now Carlos Sainz. We get the purple sector 2, but it turns green straight away, so I'm not too sure if we actually are fastest within them sectors. We'll only find out as we go to the near end of the circuit, sector 3 over the checkered line, but we've still got a few corners to complete before we get there. We've got someone just in front of us. Hopefully Guohan Zhou doesn't hold us up as we hit the final corner before we get onto the straight, banging slightly into the wall there, as it is really tight and it is hard to be able to kind of get the best exit possible as we go over the checkered flat line, and that is pole position, and there's no grid penalties this time. This is going to stick, so we're actually going to start this Grand Prix in pole position, something to look forward to, that is for sure.
So here we are then, welcoming you today to one of the jewels of the Arab world, Jeddah, one of the biggest cities in Saudi Arabia, second only to Riyadh, gateway to Mecca, and one of the biggest ports in the region. And now, host to the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix. So let's take a look at the topographical map of the Jeddah Street Circuit. As you can see, a number of challenging corners for the drivers to master here. We'll see just how much the teams have benefited from their time spent in practice this weekend. And like many street circuits, this track has the potential to punish drivers that get it wrong. Let's hope we avoid any safety cars today. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Cook line up on pole position. And starting next to them is George Russell. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Hamilton, Leclerc, Sainz, Fernando Alonso, Norris, Albon, Bottas, Perez, Gasly, Verstappen, Stroll, Oscar Piastri, Tsunoda, Magnussen, Sargent, Drugovich, Joe, Ocon, Sato, and Nick de Vries. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track where preparations are underway. Anthony Davidson joins me once again in the commentary box, and it's fantastic to have you with us here, but I'm curious, as a man with experience out on the track, how do you stop those pre-race nerves from becoming overwhelming when you're lining up on the grid?
Well, I imagine they'll be starting to feel the adrenaline as they anticipate the run down into turn one, a bit like preparing to go into battle. The unknown situation will bring nerves, but that's a good thing. It will keep them focused on the moment and on their surroundings as we build towards the start of the Grand Prix.
Here we go then, the first time we're going to be starting from pole position as we wait for the 5 lights to go out in Saudi Arabia. And it is lights out and away we go then, as behind us we've got George Russell, Lewis Hamilton, Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz as the Mercedes battle it through the first corner, tussling with Russell and Hamilton, as you can see, clean through the first few corners, and we stick in first as we go and make the charge more than anything, as we do have Russell behind us, 300 per second currently, so a few good starts from other opponents also, and they have stuck with us really well as George Russell looks to try and see if he can make a move at any point in time. He is really close. He is definitely going to be fast in this Grand Prix, as you have his teammate Lewis Hamilton just behind him. Not a lot splits them two either, only about 200 of a second, so they're going to be very close. And as you can see, it's pretty much a train of cars currently as George Russell tries to minimise the time as it goes to about 100 of a second going through that corner. He sticks with me really well, as you can see, going onto the right hand side, see if he can take a line. He is going to be able to try and see if he can take a look, as we nearly go into the wall there. George Russell capitalises, and George Russell is through. He is into first then as he charges on. A really good overtake from George, pushed me to the side and I couldn't really go anywhere more than anything, so I had to put the brakes on, otherwise that would have been the end to our race. As we got George Russell just in front of us then, Lewis Hamilton is right behind us also, so the other Mercedes engine has got a lot of power around this circuit. He's going to be taking a look at us momentarily there as we do bang into the wall, so that it's going to be a kind of case of being able to try and look after these tyres and look after the front wing more than anything, because we really don't want any severe damage, because that will affect our performance, that's for sure. As we hit the final corner then in Saudi Arabia for the first lap of 18, that is, as we go on to lap 2 and we close the gap between ourselves and George Russell as we get a decent bit of slipstream. George getting the fastest lap as we see if we can try and get late onto the brakes. We're going to have the inside line. He's gone on to the outside and he has held his position really good there, and he charges on in this Grand Prix. Lap 4 of 18, nothing has really changed as of yet. A second gap as of the moment, so we are getting DRS at points obviously. Lap 3 it was enabled, but not a lot really happening in all fairness. Carlos Sainz has made his way up to third place, but myself is making a decent gap between the runners in all honesty. It is the battle between ourselves and George, and if I can actually stick with him more than anything, as we do have Lewis Hamilton and Leclerc in the top 5. No Red Bulls to be seen as of the moment. I'm sure they'll make an appearance anytime soon, and Lando Norris I can see is in the running also. That 5 of 18 then, and we're really trying to make the charge and see if we can get past George Russell at any point. He looks to have the fastest car more than anything though, and he's making it count, that is for sure, and it seems to be that we can't just keep up with him. 1.7 gaps as you can see it on lap 5, and it seems to be that the people behind me have actually made a decent gap on myself, as Carlos Sainz is going to take a move. Everyone's on the softer compound, so everyone's got the same amount of grip. Carlos Sainz is through momentarily as he has got DRS, and he is quicker as we go on to the inside line trying to outbrake Carlos Sainz as we push him over to the outside as we hit the last straight, and we've got a lot of cars behind us. We've got Leclerc, we've got Hamilton, I'm pretty sure there is a couple of Red Bulls in there, and this is going to be a real interesting factor to see what happens on the straights now we have bunched up with the pack. As we go late onto the brakes then, lap 6 of 18, as the laps really go quick as we are battling it out to see if we can even get a podium spot as this point on goes on. George Russell making a massive gap, and he is definitely taking advantage of the battle behind him. And this is really interesting to see who's going to be battling with us as Carlos Sainz and Lewis Hamilton go toe-to-toe in that corner. They're really putting up a good fight as you've got Charles Leclerc in 5th also. 2 Ferrari engines and 2 Mercedes engines working really, really well. Don't forget, I've actually got a Mercedes engine myself, but we are trying to push on and try and see if we can at least get a podium this race, as it seems to be that George Russell has definitely made too much of a gap to us to even go anywhere near him. Carlos Sainz is going to try and make a gap on this DRS. As you can see, he's making up the time as he goes. 200ths of a second at the moment, but he doesn't seem to be any sort of nearer to when it comes to the corner. He's going to have to be patient and see if he can make a move on this particular straight. He will get DRS again, as he is right behind me, as you can see, and this is going to be interesting to see who does creep up, as Hamilton and Sainz have made a decent bit of a gap. Fernando Alonso slops himself into 5th place, so Charles Leclerc out of the running for the top 5 as of the moment, as his teammate Carlos Sainz battles wheel to wheel through that corner. What an overtake that is from Carlos Sainz, as he makes the car much bigger and he pushes me out, and a really, really clean overtake at the same time. He held his line, and we're now going to have to see if we can try and overtake Carlos Sainz as he looks to kind of try and push on and blaze through these corners. A really, really good overtake, as I say, by Carlos Sainz, and the one to worry about is now Lewis Hamilton just behind us. We might even have to be settling for 3rd at the moment, as Carlos Sainz has made a really, really good decent gap, and we might even be lucky to get to 3rd as Lewis Hamilton makes a decent overtake. We get the inside lines, we have outbroken him momentarily, but we are trying to battle, and as you can see, I'm not too sure if he collided into the wall. He lost some time there. Fernando Alonso going up to 4th place as he battles with the Mercedes engine. Fernando in a decent position. He's had a decent start to the season as he goes past us now. He's into 3rd. Lewis Hamilton's to 4th. I'm into 5th as I get a double overtake either side, and we're going to have to stick ourselves into 5th, and this is really a weird position where we've literally gone from 1st to 5th at the moment. We are not fast enough, and Saudi at the moment, as you can see, we're trying to get past Lewis Hamilton. He shuts off any sort of gap that there was, and Charles Leclerc is just behind me in 6th. Lando Norris in 7th. As I say, a big turn of events as we look to be in a worse position, as Fernando Alonso and Lewis Hamilton are battling it out just in front of me there, and as you can see, Alonso got better of him momentarily, but we will be going into the pits then. We are all going into the pits, may I say. Lewis Hamilton and Fernando Alonso going into the pits. We have got a fast pit stop. We are right behind him, so could we just maybe kind of go in front of him? Could that happen? Who knows? Let's see, because we are going into the pits now. We're going to have to get an optimal stop, that is for sure. As you can see, Fernando has just gone in front of us. Lewis went in first. Obviously, that's no kind of real advantage whatsoever. As you can see, Fernando Alonso is there, and Lewis Hamilton, we've actually got out quicker. 2.2 second gap, and that little bit where we was behind him, we've obviously had a faster pit stop. Upgrading those pit facilities has definitely worked as we slot ourselves into 13th place then. We are above Lewis Hamilton, and there are positions to be made up, so this is going to be interesting, that is for sure. As Fernando Alonso makes the charge on this, he's in 12th place. We're all on medium tyres now. We're on a colder tyre, as you can tell. No grip whatsoever as of the moment as we try and get heat into the tyres and try and push them around the circuit. As we go wide through the corners, we're going to be losing some time and try not to exceed the track limits either, as we have got Lewis Hamilton just behind us, 600 of a second. Fernando Alonso has made a decent gap, as you can see, lap 9 of 18 now. Fernando is completely running away with it. He looks to be able to try and cement his position in this Grand Prix, as we are still 13th as of the moment, trying to see what will happen when we go through the actual bit on the straight where people have pitted, and see what kind of position that we kind of fall in. Obviously, there's going to be a few laps where people are pitting, so the positions are going to go up and down. It's going to be interesting to see where we had that advantage from getting in front of Lewis Hamilton on that pit stop, where we will actually be in the end then as we go into the final corner. Teammate in the pits, there are people going to be in the pits, and I'm pretty sure we should get DRS on Fernando Alonso as we make a decent gap up on them few corners. We do get the DRS, but we've got no real ERS whatsoever. Whether we can make a charge, as you can see, we're closing the gap to Fernando as we make up the positions also as we try and get past him. He slots himself into 4th, I'm into 5th, and as I said, he slots himself into 4th. I momentarily go into 4th then with Carlos Sainz just in front, and that is a brilliant overtake on Fernando Alonso, a much needed one also to be able to see if we can make up any more time, in all honesty, and just be able to try and see if we can push on with not many things in front of us and no kind of obstacles in our way. Obviously, when you're battling it out with other opponents, you do lose time on the circuit, and it kind of really now to be kind of getting on the lap times with the fresh medium. Obviously, we've got some heat in the tyres also, so that's important. So it's now time to see if we can get some faster tyres than we do in the softer compound. That always seems to be the way. As we push on in this Grand Prix then, we're currently in 4th place as Fernando Fernando Alonso is in 5th. Lewis Hamilton is in 6th. Guohan Zhou's in 2nd. But that will change in all honesty because he is yet to pit. So once he pits, we should actually go into 3rd. But we might not be because Fernando Alonso's made an overtake on the right-hand side. We've got the inside line as we push through, get a better exit than the Aston Martin machine. As Hamilton tries to capitalise on that poor exit from Fernando Alonso. He just creeps in front of him though. As Guohan Zhou does go into the pits and a few others go into the pits also. And we slot ourselves into 3rd. Fastest lap going to Charles Leclerc, the Ferrari machine, proving fast around this circuit. As Alonso tries to make another dive up the outside. It's not to be though for the Spaniard as he does have to kind of go back into 4th. Otherwise that would have been a big collision, that is for sure. Lap 11 of 18 then as we try and push on. Not long left in this Grand Prix and we've really got to try and see if we can get this podium. Carlos Sainz looks too far. It's only 1.2 seconds as of the moment. But as the laps continue you can see he's making a decent gap in front of us and he's definitely looking the faster engine out of the two. Obviously we see as makes mistakes like that don't help. We run the camber and the car was really kind of on that bit of the track where you just slow down completely and you felt like it was going to be wedged. So we do lose the position to Lewis Hamilton. As you can see, he's made an overtake on Fernando. I'm on the inside line. He's getting squeezed to anything. I'm right up against the wall, wheel to wheel. And we have made the overtake on Lewis Hamilton. That is a phenomenal overtake. And there was no gap. There was no room. That was such an unlikely spot to overtake. But we did it. And we threw on Lewis back into 3rd. That mistake cost us a little bit. Don't get me wrong. But we had the battle with Lewis and we are through once again then. We are in P3. George Russell 1st, Sainz 2nd, myself 3rd, Lewis Hamilton 4th and Fernando Alonso in 5th. Not a lot splits us though as Fernando and Lewis battle it out behind us and there is a decent kind of train behind them also as they try and catch up to the pack and see if they can do anything on this circuit. As I say, there's not really many laps left, so it's going to be really no room for error whatsoever as we hit the final corner then, going on to lap 12, finishing, we're going on to lap 13, sorry, finishing lap 12 as we go over the checkered line. A decent gap between myself and Hamilton. Don't think any overtake is going to be made, but he does creep up really quickly. He is going to go late onto the brakes as he literally speeds on my rear. He wants to go on the outside. I have to shift myself over onto the inside line, but we do hold it with Verstappen now in 5th. Fernando not having a good one whatsoever. I felt like when he was in front of me at the time he was in a decent position, but where he's been overtaken and kind of have it where he's not battling, I feel like that has really worsened his kind of performance in race. He's actually having 6th at the moment. Verstappen in 5th then. Is he going to try and make a move and try and hit a podium spot in Saudi Arabia? The world champion hasn't had the best of starts in all honesty, and it might just be that we can capitalise on that and get the points on him as early as possible and make best out of the worst season he possibly could have. You just never ever know. As Lewis Hamilton is behind us then as we are completing the final few corners of this lap, going on to lap 14 then coming to the end of lap 13 as we hit one of the last straight DRS bits on the track. And this is going to be a point in time where he can try and make a move. He's going to go up on the outside line. We've got the inside line as we go hard onto the brakes. Wheel to wheel with Lewis Hamilton as he has got a bit of space. Whether he gets a good exit, who knows? As he doesn't, and Max Verstappen makes the most of that also. He creeps up on Lewis Hamilton as there are others behind him. I'm not too sure who at the moment, but there is a few cars in all honesty. Lap 14 of 18 then. 4 laps left of this Grand Prix as Lewis Hamilton makes a move on the right hand side. Verstappen's right behind Hamilton also as we battle through this corner, trying to hold the position, trying to get back into 3rd and see what we can do. Back into 3rd we do go with Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen right on my tail. They're going to be making any moves they possibly could as they seem to be really fast in this Grand Prix, kind of matching my level if not getting even better than me. Lap 14 of 18 and as I say, and we are trying to do anything we possibly can, but these DRS points are really kind of screwing us more than anything. They're making up a lot of time on us where we're not, obviously we've got nothing in front of us, we've got no one to catch up to, so we've got no DRS, so we've only got our ERS and we're trying to use that the most minimal kind of way possible. More than anything as Lewis Hamilton tries to make a move, he switched to the left, he switched to the right. I'm trying to defend at any point in time to try and slow him up. I can't defend that one as he goes on the right hand side, and once again we're in a familiar position where he's on the outside, I'm on the inside line. The inside line being more favoured as Lewis Hamilton keeps the position in 4th at least. Max Verstappen in 5th as he has got people behind him also. They're trying to get into 5th. They're trying to get a top 5 finish in this race at least as the laps go down. Lap 15 of 18 then. Not many laps left whatsoever as Lewis Hamilton is still right behind us. So is Max Verstappen. this is going to be a tricky end, and it could be anyone's race for a podium, that is for sure. I'm pretty sure the last kind of 5 or 6 runners are actually going to be the ones that are going to be really involved. Really interesting to see as Verstappen and Hamilton are now going to make a move on this straight. As Hamilton does make his move, Verstappen on the inside, then he's going to try and see if he can make a move. He switched to the outside. Jesus, nearly have a collision there as Hamilton pretty much just kind of blindsides it. He goes into the left-hand turn, nearly wiping me out. He just pulls out the way, luckily in the end. That could have been a front wing off, and as you can see, a lost time there from him going so hard on the brakes. We make the most of it though, as he has got Hamilton just behind us. For that's Verstappen also. Verstappen getting fastest lap. I'm not too sure someone else has got a fastest lap also, as he chopped and changed with, I think that's Fernando Alonso taking another look. He's not done yet, as we on lap 16 of 18 we collide with the wall, making sure the car is all good. Yes, it is, and Sergio Perez is actually overtaking his teammate. He's the one battling for 5th, and he's the one that's got the fastest lap. Can the Red Bull machine get on the box to be in this session? As you can see, caution sector 2. Something has come and happened. What is that? I do not know, as we still have Hamilton, we still have Perez behind us, and nothing in regards to them two. Resume racing, and Fernando Alonso is out the session. I didn't catch what actually happened, unfortunately. Sorry, I can't bring you that. But I can only think it's a mechanical failure, as no crash has happened, and that's kind of a real kind of woe for Fernando. Bahrain, he didn't get the points because he span out, and now Saudi Arabia, he didn't get the points because he's had a mechanical failure. So really unfortunate for the Spaniard, but we've got to focus on our race. As you see, 1 lap to go then as we go over the checkered line. Lap 18 of 18 as Lewis Hamilton tries to see if he can take a move on us. He tries to go into 3rd, but he can't, as we shut him off. We do it really well, and we do it really cleanly also, as we hold our spot in 3rd. Hamilton in 4th, Sergio Perez in 5th. The front runners of Russell and Sainz. Russell was completely run away with it. I mean, Sainz is in 2nd. He's 16 seconds in front of me, sorry. But George Russell is 25 seconds in front of me. I mean, that is brilliant from the youngster. He has done so well in this Grand Prix, and fair enough to George. Well done to from us in that way. But yeah, it's one of those where we have to look at another race and see if we can kind of battle with him. Whether that is going to happen, who knows, as we try and see if we can at least get 3rd and share the top spots with George Russell and Carlos Sainz, as Sergio Perez and Hamilton battle it out behind us. That helps us out a lot, because they're going to be losing time, even though they're battling for the 4th and the 5th. They're not going to be kind of doing the faster times that they would normally if they had no one in front of them, and kind of distracting the ways that they kind of turn left to right, as a 600 gap is being made. Obviously they're going to get DRS, they're both going to get DRS, so they're both going to kind of hound in on me as we kind of go through this bit of the circuit, and we haven't got long left then, as we're going to hit the straight. George Russell going over the checkered line. He is the winner of this Grand Prix, but we are pretty much cemented. This P3 position is about, we are increasing the gap more than anything. 800 of a gap at the point, they've minimalised it to 400s, but I don't think it's going to be enough by the time we come out this exit. We get on the straight, and yeah, I think the gap is too big, and we are going to come 3rd in this Grand Prix. A big race. We started in pole, went all the way down to 5th even, and then we sort of kind of crawled our way back. We had a brilliant pit stop, and now we are finishing the race in 3rd. A brilliant race, brilliant day in Saudi Arabia. Driver of the day going to Sergio Perez. He nearly clinched the podium, as George Russell is the winner then. A very well deserved one at that also, as he waits to spray the champagne and celebrates with his crew chief and the other opponents on the track. Really good performance from George, and I think that Mercedes engine is going to be very fast, that is for sure. As the champagne is sprayed in Saudi Arabia, a brilliant end to the weekend, a much better one compared to what we had previously in Bahrain. Obviously we didn't even really do much. We came P4 in the end, but it was a kind of weird race, and where we got taken out, it just wasn't the one. But this is much better. This is what we want, a podium in Saudi as we push on, and hopefully we can just maybe clinch a win in Melbourne. You never ever know, you've got to be in it to win it. As we stand in the championship as of the moment, after 2 races we are 4th. We are only 8 points off the top, 28 points at the moment, and we are 3rd in the constructors also, so a decent start. We're actually above Red Bull at the moment, and Esteban Ocon hasn't even achieved any points yet, so that is some driving from myself. But yeah, this has been a really good Grand Prix, and I hope you guys have enjoyed it as well. So please like and subscribe for more content just like this one, and don't forget to hit the notification button so you never miss a video. Cheers.